Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wired Nerdy Podcast. This is episode number 22. My name is Keith. I'm here with my good friend, Doug. Doug, how's it going? How does episode 22 find you, my friend?
It's going good. Yeah, we got some pretty good articles to talk about today. Some kind of funnier stuff. Interested to get into it with you.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a good time. And then for our main topic, we're going to review just a real quick high level of common YouTube channels and podcasts that we listen to on a regular basis. Just kind of share
Yep.
the love to find out where we get some of our information. And we're just going to do a quick review of recommendations. And of course, we're going to invite anybody to share ones that they happen to consume on a regular basis inside of the show notes on YouTube. But before we get into all that coolness, let's cue up the nerd news.
Nerd News.
Doug, I want you to go first. What do we have on our list? We have some odd ones. It was a weird week for news this week. Some odd
It
ones.
was strange. The first one I saw was Among Us is going to become a TV show. Did you ever play that game?
I did not. My daughter was really into it, and I watched her play it. Very cartoony. The idea, it's all multiplayer. And the idea is you're like these little characters inside of astronaut suits, and you're walking around different environments, and there's one person that's the murderer, or the person that is tagged as it, and everybody's got to walk around and do these jobs and also keep an eye on each other, but then everybody has to accuse each other of who is the murderer, and they basically have to get away with it. It's essentially the premise of it. It was hugely popular, probably around, it says in the article, especially during the pandemic in 2020. Now, it's so funny because I had mentioned to my youngest daughter that they were making this into a show. And of course, typical kid, she rolled her eyes and said, "Oh," she's like, "it's too late. It's not popular anymore." So
Yeah.
I don't
That
know.
was
I don't know
so
if I
not
should tell them
cool.
that.
Yeah.
I know. So, but that's what I know about. I didn't play it myself. I did watch it. I don't know. Did you ever mess with it at all?
Yeah, I messed with it a little bit. My nephews played it. They're always saying that's sus or this is sus. I said, what?
What's this
Younger
language?
kids, I have to have a Urban Dictionary, not for the dirty things, but for the young kid things. What is this kid trying to tell me? So
I know my kids make
sus
fun of me.
being suspicious. You think, hey, this crewmate on the ship is sus. He might be the killer or whatever. So.
Yep.
I liked it. It was cartoony. It was definitely lots of younger generation. The chat room in that was a little wild. I was like, nope, not for me.
A little out of
Uh,
my age range, huh?
yep. So
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, they're making it a show. I don't know if it's going to be live action or what, or
I kind of
cartoony.
agree that it seems like it's over. It's done. It's not popular anymore. But it'll be interesting to see what the show's going to do to carry on.
Yep, definitely. All right. So I guess you okay if I take the next one?
Yeah, you're good.
So I just want a disclaimer. I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, D&D. I haven't played probably since I was in high school with friends. I was never really into it heavily, but it was always kind of cool. But lately, I have seen videos and I've gotten into, there's just every now and then when technology advances and you can see how it changes things, I've been fascinated. And I think I've sent you, Doug, a couple of these videos of how people are playing D&D now, where they'll do cool things like they'll take a television and they'll lay it flat, and there's these applications that allow you to have like a map or moving water. It's just a video on loop,
Yeah.
right? But that's your game board, so it
Yeah.
adds this level of realism. And then people are taking and like using like what they use for cosplay to foam to carve out castles, and they put their dragons in the. So I kind of got into that, but this is a unique article in which Hero Forge, which they make accessories for tabletop games. I found this really, really interesting. So for your D&D game, if you have a 3D printer, they have an application. Essentially, you can make your own character on this app, and then you can adjust like facial hair. You have a slider for age. It's almost kind of like when you're doing character creation in a video game. You can do all that, create your character on this app. Then you can output it to your 3D printer to make a miniature. And then, of course,
Oh
there's a whole
man,
hobbyist community of painting them. I thought this was fascinating and a whole other level of realism to pull people in to the game. And you can make your own miniatures and then paint them. How freaking cool is that?
it looks really cool. I mean, the level of customization it looks like from these pictures is crazy. One lady's kind of a mage, I believe, with
Yeah,
her staff and her fire coming out. Yeah, so.
it's really cool.
Now, I've never played D&D. I've always wanted to, and I think most people, maybe like me, Stranger Things, they play D&D in there, and that's kind of a very pop culture, "Hey, here's this D&D game." And I definitely noticed after that D&D kind of popped up on Amazon and Walmart and stuff. I've
Yeah.
never played it. I'd love to. Um, so
You gotta have some time. That's you know,
yeah, I've heard of campaigns or whatever going days, weeks, months, even years. It's like, wow.
exactly. Some of them can go on for a long time. And I had friends of mine that were really into it, and they would have campaigns that would go on for months and months on end.
Mhm.
So you can really get into it. But I think it's pretty awesome of how they're taking technology, whether it's you're using the television and doing media with it, or even being able to customize your miniatures and doing something like taking what you do in a video game and then making it real life. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I think that adds a really cool level of depth to the game, and you know, good for them for capitalizing on the new popularity, from
Yes.
Stranger Things and doing cool stuff, and kind of breathing some fresh life into it because it's been around for a very long time. So
Oh, absolutely.
it's very cool. All right, man. I guess I get the next one,
Yeah, you're
which
on a roll. Keep it
I'm
going.
on a roll, man. I'm just gonna slice them up here. You'll get your turn. So it
Hey, you're
sounds
good.
like we talked about this before, where Google had a streaming cloud gaming service called Stadia earlier this year. It went, bye bye. They basically deprecated it. It wasn't the smash that they thought it would be. However, it sounds like Google is not done with cloud gaming just yet. As a reminder, Google owns YouTube, and YouTube is reportedly testing playables in a new instant gaming service through YouTube itself.
Hmm.
Um, they're doing it. There's an internal email that was sent out inviting Google employees to begin testing the games. It says reportedly one of the games available for testing is called Stack Bounce. It sounds like a breakout clone. Remember where you move the ball back and forth, and you're
Oh,
breaking the
I
different
love
things.
those games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
smashed a layer of bricks with a bouncing ball. Well,
Mhm.
apparently they're got some type of a technology in which they're integrating it into YouTube. And so maybe this is just a different angle of them still trying to keep a foot into the gaming, area or not. So I don't know, man. Would you go to YouTube to play any video games? It seems odd, but
I
people are
think
already
it's odd
there.
as well.
Yeah,
Now I know Netflix has games, and
they
to
do.
take you way back, I remember we had Dish Network. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm talking like early 2000s and DirecTV,
Yep.
and they had games too you could play with your remote. Now, their TV remote was not very responsive at all,
I
but
never, I never
just
played it.
to have games on a satellite Dish
Hmm.
network, I'm saying Dish Network, DirecTV or Dish Network was interesting. I mean, they were very, very basic. I think there was some form of snake, and because your IR blaster, if that's what it's called on your TV remote, is not as advanced as our
Yeah.
controllers nowadays.
Yeah, it wasn't definitely using Wi-Fi. I honestly forgot that these satellite mini dish companies had done that,
Yeah.
and it does bring in to the conversation. There have been little stints like that. Remember, I'm going to go back even further. Nokia, the video game, sorry, excuse me, the phone company made a
Oh.
video game console called the Engage, and
Hmm.
their idea was it would be a phone for gamers. It was a handheld gaming system. So it's so
Yeah.
funny how companies dip their toes into this. I will tell you, I have tried Netflix's game streaming service. I kind of forget they have it. It worked really well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
One of my favorite turn-based games called Into the Breach is on it. Play it all the time on PC. Play it, nonsense. It's just such a great game, and it's infinite in that the time loop resets and it always randomizes, so you can play it infinitely. But it's kind of a game you can play on the go. I did play it once using the Netflix app. It ran really, really well. Of course, it was streaming, very similar to what we talk about with Stadia and things like that. But it's a very pixelated, retro art style game, so it's not very demanding stream wise. But it worked really well. So, did you do any of the Netflix ones? I did. I think we did one where you get to choose. It's like choose your own adventure, like a video, right? And so Netflix has actual games that they'll stream to you. That's cloud, but then they're gamifying movies. And I remember it was one of the Black Mirror movies, Boulder Dash, I think it was called.
I was just looking that up. So it's Black Mirror Bandersnatch?
Bandersnatch. See, that's close. I said Boulder Snatch.
It's funny, we're on a same wavelength here. I was looking that up right now. So to explain that for our listeners and viewers, if you haven't seen it, Black Mirror is kind of a very dark, twisted version of
it's like
the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you know what Twilight Zone is. I don't want to explain that. But in this one, you get to choose what happens on the screen. And I love that because I love going back to my childhood here. That takes me back to R.L. Stine and Goosebumps of Choose Your Adventure. I love those books, like Carnival of Horrors, if I'm getting the names right. But just that the choice is in the viewer or the reader's lap of what happens next is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat from an experimentation standpoint. So kudos to them for trying to gamify these types of things. So we'll see what YouTube does with this. It'll be interesting.
Yep.
I think you're up next, man. What do you got for us?
All right. You're leaving me the good ones today.
I know. The really
Forza.
weird ones.
Well, I know. Yeah. So I start off with Forza. For those that don't know, it's a racing game, much like Gran Turismo or Need for Speed, but it's definitely its own IP. It's done very, very well. So they're picking up on current trends and going with Barbie's Corvette. And I don't think it can get any more pink. I mean, that sucker is bright.
These cross-promotional things are fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
You had Diablo 4 promoting really super spicy chicken.
Yes.
And now you got Forza having the Barbie pink Corvette. It's cool. It's creative marketing.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, and to go in line with that, you have Call of Duty releasing the new Hummer that goes sideways. You have
I didn't
Microsoft
know about
Flight
that.
Sim.
So hold up.
With the new Ornithopter.
Yeah. So pump the brakes for a minute. So there's a Humvee that goes sideways. Is it actually being made or is it in game? Explain that one to me.
It's actually being made. So your wheels turn sideways. You have to check this out. And I guess it helps you parallel park. I don't know.
And is that in the game or something?
Yep.
Oh,
but it's also a real life Hummer model. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised they're not making Halo's Warthog. Although I know people have made them, but I mean, to actually buy.
So there's definitely let's try to do some real life stuff in our video game. Yeah.
Yeah. The cross promotional stuff is fascinating to me. I like the creativity. It used to be that they try to stick within their demographic because you think about people who play racing sim games. They're probably not going to be like, oh, well, I want to drive the Barbie car. But you know what? There's going to be an interest there. And there'll be probably somebody out there just tearing up the records with that Barbie car.
Absolutely.
Breaking some speed runs.
Yeah, I know Forza does a lot of drifting. So can you imagine you're in a multiplayer lobby with other people? They have Lamborghinis and Ferraris. And then here comes this guy in a pink Barbie looking Thunderbird.
And he just
smokes them all. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I like it. I think it's unique. I like the cross promotional stuff they're doing. So I don't know. I think it's fun. So that's my take on it. It's pretty cool. What else you got, man?
Google, I'm an Android fanboy over here. It looks like they're giving our little Android robot a reboot. Kind of a glow up. That's one of those new terms. I'm old. I don't know exactly what it means. But they're giving it a glow up, which means improving it, making it better. Some of the pictures I'm looking at, there's different colors. They've got mohawks. They've got headphones. But the main thing they're doing is trying making it 3D, like a 3D model.
Yeah, they haven't changed that icon in a long time. It's always
It's
been
been a while, yeah.
the lime green flat 2D robot, very recognizable. But yeah, they're trying to give it some texture. One of them looked like it was felt, but I think by making it 3D, they can do more stuff with texturing and things like that. So just trying to refresh their brand, which to be fair, they haven't done that in a long time.
No,
So more power to them.
I kind of miss the old days of the cool names and the cool icons. Android, if people don't know, used to be named after desserts. Each iteration, each upgrade of Android was a different dessert.
It followed the alphabet, didn't it?
It did. So, lollipop, and then I forgot what M was, and then Oreo, ice cream sandwich, froyo,
Yep.
kind of a cool plate. But then they had like actual statues at their Google campus of ice cream sandwiches and Oreos and stuff. It was really cool.
It's a unique way to remember what version of operating system that you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really a cool thing to do. We talked about this before. Mac, they've been really big into for
They've
a while.
got cheetah and leopard, and
they were into big cats. Like there was snow leopard and tiger and lion and all that. But now they're into right now they're doing the California series. So for a while there, it was all about parks. Like just national state parks, but now they're doing parts of California. Like I think right now the latest one is Sonoma, and then there's El Capitan, and those are all California locations. So, but the theming is kind of cool. I like it. It's better than just slapping on like a number like Microsoft does.
number
Windows
12,
Windows 11, Windows 10,
yeah.
Or then they get really nutty. XP, which what does that mean? Why? And then like, okay, never mind. We're going back to numbers.
Shout out to Vista, right? Best. No, never mind. I take that back.
Windows, believe it or not, I think Windows 8 face planted harder.
Oh, it was terrible with the tiles.
But the hardest face plant in this, I'm dating myself, was called Windows Me. Do you remember that? You were pretty young.
Millennium Edition, yeah.
It was. You did know.
Yeah.
All it was
I think we had it once, like at a school, but not personally at home.
It sucked. It was a reskinned version of Windows 98, and it was a poorly done. It was an unstable version of Windows 98. It was horrible. I would dare say it was probably the worst iteration, in my opinion, that I've experienced in the IT realm. So.
Now, from the IT world, you may be able to tell me, but I thought always the XP was the best so far. Like, the longest running maybe, and then the widest distribution across the planet as far as computers.
It's hard to tell. Depends on what metrics that you use. XP definitely was very, very solid. Almost every single one of them had rough launches at first, especially when they were a new kernel build. There was always bugs. They were always unstable. And then they finally would hit a stride, where they would get stable. And XP was no different. But I would say XP was longstanding. Windows 7 had a very strong run. Now there's a lot of organizations out there probably still have 7. They shouldn't, but it's out of band support-wise. But 7 was pretty solid. And to be honest with you, 10's good. A lot of people give 11 hate. Early on, it did have some optimizations, especially with gaming. You're still better to game on 10 because 10 is more optimized for gaming. But I've been using 11 for over a year now, and I've had nothing but luck with it. So it's getting better. It's just one of those things. They've gotten better at stabilizing it. So, they definitely are. I can't criticize them too much. They used to be really bad though. It took them a long time to get stable. So,
all right, I think you're up.
All right, the next one is an interesting one. Have you ever played Jackbox games?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so what that is, essentially, it's like a board game, but everybody is looking at a TV, and you can all use your phones. It's really, really fun. It's on all major platforms. Well, Nintendo's kind of getting in the fray. They already had a feature called 1-2 Switch. And think of it like back when remember the Wii was like massively popular because you could do bowling and all the motion controls. Well, the little paddles on the Nintendo Switch are also motion control. So think of it like the next version of that. And they were a bunch of mini games, like if you were on one of those mine carts that you pump, you would move the controller Joy-Con up and down and things like that. And you're competing together. Or if you were doing archery, you could pull it back. Very similar to the first gen Wii. It was pretty popular. It didn't catch on the Switch quite as much as the first gen Wii, but they now have a new version called Everybody 1-2 Switch. So it's the next iteration of that. What's interesting about this is basically they're copying Jackbox games, and they claim you can have up to like almost 100 people played
Oh
this
man.
game. And so they don't all have to have Nintendo Switches. So everybody can have phones.
Yeah.
But what's really neat is on some of the mini games, they're incorporating AR or augmented reality. So you can walk around the room and everybody sees like an object or a box. So they're getting pretty fancy with it.
That is.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat. Be a good time for the next time you have a game night with the family or with a bunch of friends.
Absolutely. Now, we have a group of friends. We share same circle, I believe, but we've had some Jackbox party games. The way it works is someone has a computer or a console or something, hooks up to a TV, hooks up to your Wi-Fi, and then everybody has a room code. So you have to be on the same Wi-Fi network, enter the room code, and then you're in this game on your cell phone. But we played trivia games. We played drawing games. I mean, it was really fun using your cell phone.
Oh, it's a blast. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can do cool
definitely.
stuff with it. There's one game where you are designing, everybody's drawing pictures to design t-shirts. And then on
Yes.
top of that, they'll
Yeah.
put sayings. And then everybody has to vote as to like to make the funniest combination of picture
Yeah.
and saying. What's really cool. One night, our family, we just had a blast where we were laughing so hard at some of the pictures and stuff. Believe it or not, my daughter found through the Jackbox thing, she was able to place an order and get the t-shirt actually made.
Oh my gosh.
It was so cool. It was funny. It was
That's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah. So if you haven't played Jackbox games, you're missing out. They're so good. So kudos to Nintendo for getting into that and seeing it as being a value add. So
Yep. And I have to give a shout out to a friend named Megan. She's an artist. Playing that t-shirt game, we played it with her.
she
And I
destroy
mean,
you.
playing against an artist, it's like, okay, we give up,
Gee, I wonder
But
which one, who drew that. It's like
who drew that?
it's
Yeah.
all perfect.
Great times there.
That's awesome. All right, man. I think you got the last one. It's a weird one. We're continuing
The
the
last
weird trend.
one looks interesting. So there is a new game coming out.
It's free.
With our friends Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Last week we talked about them possibly getting a UFC fight started or a WWF fight started. But now there's a free game coming out where you get to fight as each of them in a ring.
Yeah.
Zuck first Musk, I believe. Tech Bro Beatdown is the name of it.
That's right. And I like it because it's like pixel Super Nintendo.
Oh, it's very retro feeling.
Yeah, I love that look on games when they do that for modern games. But yeah, it's gonna be free. And what's funny, the development, I sent Doug a message. We had that on the show last week, and it was funny. They've called off the cage match because Elon Musk's mom said he can't do it. So stupid.
That's the equivalent of, hey, it's like 9 p.m. It's time for you to come to bed.
Yeah, mom says you can't.
Yeah, mom for the save there.
Oh, geez, billionaires. What are you gonna do? So yeah, they're making free games to make fun of them, and I'm all for it. I'm there for that. So no worries.
Good times.
All right, man. Let's dive into our main topic today. So our main topic today is there are a variety of podcasts and YouTube channels in which we consume on a regular basis. Some of them are just pure interesting. And some of them I get for news on a regular basis, and there is so much content out there. I mean, we have this content, obviously. So you can find so many cool things on YouTube and even awesome podcasts. I'm convinced that if I just completely lost all of my streaming services, stopped paying for Netflix, I could just probably be fine just watch a bunch of YouTube videos. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I spend a lot of time just weekly, just going out there checking. Some of these are subscriptions I've just stumbled upon and found, and they're kind of interesting and wanted to share. And if you like any of them, let us know. Otherwise, also, I'm sure there's more, obviously, there's so much out there. It was actually kind of hard to put this list together and leave some things out. But add them to the comment section on YouTube or the comment section within Spotify, mainly because those are the two platforms that we're on that you can comment on. Everything else is just audio only. So, Doug, first off, before we jump into these, do you have staples that you go to on a regular basis, whether it's something you listen to or something that you watch? What are your What's your take on this?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely have a very large list of subscriptions on YouTube. And like you said, if I lost all my streaming services, YouTube is just so huge that I wouldn't run out of time. Being from the law enforcement community, and not to say that you aren't in the same interest as me, I have more weapons, police videos, arrest reports, kind of stuff like that, cops videos. But I also have plenty of nerd stuff on there too. So, looking at the list that you added, I've got some extras. I'll let you kind of start on some of the subscriptions that you go through, and then I've added some of my own as well.
Okay, that sounds awesome. I won't do like really, really long in depths on each one of these because there are quite a few of them. But I definitely
Yeah.
think if you haven't found them, they're worth checking out. And I'll make sure, Doug, if you make sure they get me yours, I'll add them to the show notes so you don't have to go find them. So they're direct links to their channel pages.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, this guy's a weird name, but I love his content. And I've mentioned him before. His handle, his real name is actually Jason, but his handle is Metal Jesus Rocks, and he is a video game collector based out of Seattle, Washington. What's interesting about him is that he used to work for Sierra. You remember the point and click adventure games? He
Yeah.
actually worked at that company, was in the gaming industry, so he's got a unique perspective. But what I like about him, he's so chill. He's just very, very chill. He's very, very honest, and you can just tell he's just an all around good guy. And I love the way that he does his content. He also mixes it up quite a bit, where he'll actually go on road trips and tell you about places where you can buy video games. And I'm not a video game collector in the fact that, we had Kevin on here. I'm not like Kevin where I actually have physical copies, or Brian for that matter. But I still
Yeah.
love hearing about the history, and this guy does a good job with that. And he also does a thing that's really cool where he has a friend of his, which is also on my list. They call him Radical Reggie, and they basically surprise each other. They bring things from their collection, and they take turns showing it and then talking about the history of it, and just it's really cool content. It's turn your brain off and just kind of relax. I love it. It's fun, and I learn stuff on it too. I don't know if you've ever checked
Yeah.
them out or not.
I have. They're really in depth, and they have some good finds. Like I said, they're
Oh, you muted yourself there on accident, Doug.
oh man, technology hates me. So I was saying I like that they share stuff with each other. They talk about the history of it, and then like I said, Metal Jesus travels across the country. It looks like sharing his love and passion of video games and video game community.
Yep. And the next one on my list is ETA Prime. And I got a couple of these and I'll just kind of lump them in. What I love about this guy, he does all voiceover. You don't ever see his face, but he does the most in-depth videos on hardware, like gaming hardware specifically, where he will do frame rates and how long battery lasts. And he's so thorough, but his videos are always like really tight, like 15 to 20 minutes. And he has a formula. He's such a master at telling you about these devices. Like right now, he has one up there for the Asus ROG, which we talked about, which is a competitor to the Steam Deck. And he'll even do head-to-head comparisons between Steam Deck and other, and he'll put their stats side by side. So if you're looking to buy anything, this is the dude to go to, whether it's video cards, anything, because he's so thorough. And he also talks about, he has some cool ones out there about Raspberry Pis and how you can do some of the modding kits. And he has a really good one on what was called Apple Pi OS, where you can basically use a Raspberry Pi to create an Apple computer. It's fascinating stuff. So it's highly, highly technical. And on that same front is Linus Tech Tips. They've been around forever. They also review a lot of hardware. Now, they do gaming stuff. The other guy, ETA Prime, he's very into gaming, especially handhelds. Linus Tech Tips, they're hardcore nerd stuff. We're talking PCs, servers, all kinds of stuff. And they also do accessories, but they've been around forever, and they're based out of Canada, and they're trustable. And again, before you buy televisions or PCs or processors, it's always good for you to check out his stuff first. I don't know if have you seen either one of those before?
I have, yeah. I watched the chicken nugget video. So McDonald's has released a chicken nugget handheld that plays Tetris.
Yes,
I
they
thought that
did.
was a really cool video.
Yeah, they do some cool stuff on there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really neat. The next one I have on my list is a little out there. It's not so techy, but it is so cool. It's called Nerd Forge. There is a couple, and I believe they are in the Netherlands. That's like Nordic. So they have a slight accent, and Martina and Hansi, and they, especially her, she's kind of the main person of it, but she creates the most incredible crafting mods that you've ever seen in your life, where she'll do a gigantic leather bound spell book, or she'll take an Xbox and mod it out and build a haunted house around it. She built a castle, and she took her Switch and dropped it in the middle of it to be like a Zelda theme. She does LEDs, and like she does most of the crafting and the artistic and the painting, but her husband does 3D printing, and he does all the electrical wiring. They did like a lava dwarven kingdom with lava flowing all around a PS5. I mean, it's so cool. Even my wife loves watching these with me because it's just she has so much patience, and she works for hours on building these
Yeah.
things. It's fascinating what she can build. Have you ever checked this one out?
I have not, but I've just hit the subscribe button. I'm looking at some of the videos. I mean, her Xbox, her PlayStation, she's got a PC build here. They look amazing. I mean, I'm
She's
definitely going to
incredible.
be checking this out.
Yep. And you can buy some of her stuff. Some she doesn't sell, which I wish she would, because I know she'd probably get overwhelmed with requests. But they do have a store where she does make stuff. Highly talented artist, both her and her husband. They're awesome to watch. I can't recommend them enough. They're so cool.
I just subscribed, so that'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's a good one. Another one, if you're into, we had a lot of video game stuff, but if you're into movies, I am huge into like behind the scenes. I love interviews. And Jason Rosenbaum. Now, if you don't know who that is, he's an actor, but he played Lex Luthor in the Smallville series, going back a bit there. But he has a podcast called Inside of You, and he has on actors, writers, directors about film. And you can learn all the behind the scenes stuff. He recently had James Gunn on, and it was like a very long episode. It's a long form podcast, and he talks all about running DC, the difficulties of writing Superman. You get all the behind the scenes information on a podcast like this, and I absolutely love it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one or not.
I'm not. I see that he has a podcast. I love listening to podcasts. Stuff like this, like TED Talks, and then there was a Jalen or a Letterman series, like kind of not your normal conversations, like deep down conversations. I really like those.
They were in depth. He had his beard at that moment, didn't he? I watched some
He
of
did.
those. Those were really, really
and
good.
And then Seinfeld did a coffee with comedians.
Yeah, comedians and
but
cars
I like
with coffee.
just kind of getting the behind the scenes story and checking out cool cars.
Yeah, that was a great series, and they actually had it on. It started on YouTube, but then it got picked up by Netflix. Oh, such a great series! Boy, you're throwing some good ones in there too, man. I totally forgot about.
Yeah.
I'll wrap my list up here. So another good one is the Retro Gamer Core. This is really cool. He's kind of like ETA Prime, but it's all about emulation, and about, we talk a lot about how you can emulate on different things, and that's really kind of his forte. Is he talks about, what's the best thing that you can emulate on, what runs what console, when, where, that kind of thing. So he's really good. There's also going to go Game Historian. It's just exactly what you think it is. They pick some random thing in gaming history, whether it's hardware or how something came to be, and it's like a mini documentary. And then I'm going to lump two of them together because they're really weird, but I love watching them. One is called Secret Origins, and the other is called Y Files. Now, these are like conspiracy theories. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all.
The thing I said about the moon like a couple episodes ago?
I know. But they take stuff like that and they break it down. And some of them are kind of hokey, in the way that some of the History Channel ones are. But some of them are really good, where they talk about, Area 51. Where does that come from? And all that kind of stuff. So some are better than others. I'll be honest. They're, not as consistent. The Illuminati and all the secret societies, they get into some of that. Yeah. But what's really cool is they don't get too hokey, and they cite their sources as best that they can. So those are always kind of fun to watch. And then my last one I have is by a guy named Random Frank P. Now, he does tech product reviews, but he does a monthly thing that I absolutely love. He'll do top tech under $50 for April, for March, and he does different dollar amounts, especially around the holidays. It's really cool. And I've found like a nightstand, for example, that had a wireless charging base with a alarm clock built into it. It was something he had on a show. So I love his content. He does really cool things to showcase tech that you probably wouldn't be able to find, and he always links them, whether they're on Amazon or whatever. So that's my list, man. I knew it was a long one.
No, you're good. I looked at your list. I added tons of stuff, a lot of new content that I get to check out. Some of yours of learning. I love learning things on YouTube. I mean, it's good to be entertained, but it's also good to be inspired, motivated, and learn some things. So I really appreciate all the ads that you had on there.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. I love learning new stuff.
Yeah,
I'm crazy with my curiosity about how things work and that sort of thing. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are just some of them. And it's funny. Some of them are podcasts, some of them are YouTubes. I have we could do a whole thing on podcasts, let alone,
Oh, yeah.
so I leaned into the YouTube thing only because, I'll be honest with you, when I was making the list, my subscription page was already preloaded. So that's why I leaned into it.
No, you're
We can do more
good.
podcast suggestions later, although some of these can be podcastable as well. So
Yeah. So I'll kind of run down my list real quick. Just some quick honorable mentions. All my kind of gun reviews. We talk about tech reviews, video game reviews, but there's also some guys that I go to review guns and to look at shooting. So I won't talk too much about them. Administrative Results, Garantham, um, kind of going down my list.
you can be a gun
Um,
nerd, right?
yeah. Uh, FPS Russia, which that's a whole thing. If you just look him up, he got in some trouble. He's no longer on YouTube, but
Oh, wow.
really cool, entertaining videos. I think he had too many machine guns or something.
I was
I
gonna say,
don't
what
know.
are you in trouble for? What's going on here, Doug?
Yeah, I don't know. So those are kind of my nerd out with gun reviews and cool stuff like that. Then I go to my cop channels, and I have Donut Operator. He used to be a cop. He does reviews of body cameras. Some of them are controversial. Some of them involve people getting shot, unfortunately, and arrested. But it kind of helps me in my law enforcement career of know what to do and what not to do.
Educational. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, cops, you got to always watch those 80s, 90s cops shows of like, wow, these people are ridiculous. That makes me think, being a cop's pretty cool. And that kind of does it for the cop thing. So then I'll get back on track to wired nerdy and techie thing. So this is in no particular order. One of the ones I watch a lot is Jerry Rig Everything. So I don't know if you've seen this guy.
I have
He
not.
breaks down phones and devices and does tech reviews. But I really like it that he has like a 5 or 10 point test of, is this phone durable? He tries to bend them in half. Some of them have snapped completely, and it's like, oh my gosh.
That's really cool. So he
He
stress tests them.
absolutely he uses some, and I'm not going to say the right word, some chisels or some things to test the toughness of screens.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are this Gorilla Glass Victus, so that's really cool.
And what's this? And what's
Um,
this one called? Jerry
Jerry Rig
Everything.
Everything.
Perfect. I'm making sure I'm adding him to my list.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't have him on our sheet there. I'll have to add him.
Hey, no, I
But
got it.
he's a really cool one to watch.
I'm doing it right now as you're doing it.
Awesome. And like I said, in no particular order, I kind of go to tech reviews. There's a lot of people out there reviewing tech and technology. I like Marquez Brownlee.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be impartial, I think, about Android versus Apple. And he does really good in-depth reviews. And it seems that he's up there with the companies and he's getting these products right away or immediately and reviewing them. So I really like watching his videos for tech and reviews like of new products coming out.
I personally like him. He is on my list. There's some controversy with him though, where there are indications that, and I don't buy it. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I think
Yeah.
he does a very, very good job. So he is one of the earliest YouTubers ever to do tech reviews, and you can go back to his
Oh,
videos. He like started in like a one-room apartment, like bad lighting. But his videos are beautiful now, and it's a full-time
Yeah.
job for him. And he'll get his hands on things early, but he's been accused of going soft on companies. So if a product ain't that great, but he reviews it positively, they're like, oh, well, is he getting paid? Kind of
Yeah.
behind the scene, I haven't seen it. I got to be honest with you. I think he does a very good job. I love the way he does his content. So personally, I think the criticisms of him are unfair, and I still watch him and I think he's great. That's my 2 cents. But I'm trying to base it objectionally on how he presents it, the things that he says. And I'm probably more biased than anybody. I'll probably be more harder on somebody if I thought they were being unfair, but I like the guy. I think he's great.
Yeah, definitely. Continuing with the reviews, I go to LGR, which stands for Lazy. Make sure I get it right. Lazy Game Reviews.
I love them.
So this guy brings old tech, and
Love
I'm
it.
talking old computers. Like I'm looking on his page, he's got Samsung's first tablet, like the keys to lock up your desktops and stuff. It's really interesting seeing
Yep.
all this old tech.
He showcases old tech. Yep.
Continuing with me learning and getting smarter every day. So smarter every day. I like this guy. He takes a topic, really breaks it down. He used to work for NASA, I believe. He may still work for them. So there's a lot of physics and other issues that he talks about.
Who is it? You didn't say his name.
Smarter every day.
Smart.
I kind of
you
play
probably
on
did
word
say it.
Yeah.
I thought you were
was
saying
trying to
you
be
try to get
catchy.
smarter every day. I gotcha. See,
Yeah, smarter every day by watching Smarter Every Day.
Gotcha.
That's the name of it.
I got it captured here. I'll make sure I grab these for my list.
Sweet. The next one, kind of the same as LGR, is the 8-bit guy.
Oh, I love that one.
He features retro technology from 80s, 90s, 2000s. You know, it hurts to say that 80s and 90s is now considered retro.
Wait till you find out about classic rock.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I saw that they're doing 90s rock on the Classic Rock channel. That hurt me.
Oh, dude. I'll never forget. It was about 10 years ago. I was with 2 friends. We were at a Taco Bell, and we were 2 friends that we went to high school together. And his name was Ron and Jim. And I remember we got our food, we sat down, and they're like, thanks for listening to Classic Rock. And then what comes on? Jeremy by Pearl Jam. I swear the burrito fell out of my friend's mouth, and he goes, what?
Classic rock. Yeah.
Sorry, I digress. What else you got? This is good.
Yeah. I kind of end with SNES Drunk, SNES Drunk. He reviews Super Nintendo games. So for people that don't know, it's called the SNES, Super Nintendo Entertainment System. So SNES Drunk.
I love this.
His videos are pretty entertaining. Is this worth playing? Is this the worst Super Nintendo game? Is this the best? So really good. And I still think, haters beware, that Super Nintendo is probably one of the best consoles to come out.
I agree.
Hey, sweet. I got an agreement.
Oh, man. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I know there's a lot of love for Genesis, and I respect all of them. We had all of them growing up. I was very fortunate to be exposed to them, but I don't know. There's just something about the Super Nintendo.
It just hit all the right buttons. Yeah,
it really did. Dang, dude, you've really.
So I got,
you've blown up my subscription. Now it's really gonna blow up with all the updates.
I will end on a good note of these are my guilty pleasures. These are just really weird, random
they're good
channels, but it's interesting. So the first one is Gojzer, if I'm saying it right, Gojzer, Gojzer. So that's the name of this shredding device. And this guy, his whole channel is nothing but throwing things into an industrial shredder and seeing how much it gets chopped up.
Can you spell that again? G-O what?
J-Z-E-R.
Okay.
Kind of like Gojzer from Ghostbusters, maybe?
Yeah, that's Gojzer. Oh, I've seen this. I didn't know that it was an actual channel. Go figure. I love these. See, I've seen these on like Twitter, on Imager, different services. Yeah, he just destroys things. There's also ones that compress. I don't know. Maybe you have it on your list.
That's my next one.
The hydraulic compress. Oh, what's that one called?
It's the hydraulic press channel. And these, I
love those.
I forget where they're from. They're not from the United States. They kind of have like an Eastern European, Russian maybe accent, but their entire channel is using a huge hydraulic press to squish things. And it's interesting to see what explodes, what doesn't, what. So if you need some time killer, Gojzer, if I'm saying that right, and then
Killing it.
hydraulic press channel.
Dude, I'm subscribing to so many new things. Oh my
Yep.
God. I forgot they had the Nokia phone on the hydraulic press.
It
saw
was
that.
tough. I mean,
Like,
it took a lot of pressure.
oh, I
That
know
was
what
almost an indestructible phone.
well, thanks, Doug. Instead of playing Diablo, I know what I'm going to be doing tonight. I'm going to be watching all these.
Oh, absolutely.
They're so good. Okay, what else? Sorry,
I mean,
I'm going down the rabbit
no,
hole.
that's it.
What else? Is that it? Oh God.
Well, that's kind of my big mentions. I'm looking over here at my list. It says I'm subscribed to 70 different things.
Yeah, I need to go through my list and clean them up. But these are all so good. Oh my God, they threw the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet into the shredder. I got to see that.
Oh yeah. Going down the list, shout out to one of our local bands, the K Brothers. I'm subscribed to them. They're actually going to play shout out at Missouri Capitol for the 4th of July. So come check them out if you're in the area.
Very cool.
Tenacious D, got to have those guys on there. Yeah. I have a very wide range.
Hey, you're eclectic.
So,
I appreciate that about you. Don't get me wrong. I got a bunch of like obscure documentaries for professional wrestling, and trust me, I've got some weird. I got writing ones. A lot of them I took off the list because I don't think anybody's gonna be interested in some of these. But there's some really fascinating content on YouTube. So yeah, if I did not have Netflix, I could totally just geek out on YouTube. So. Dude, thank you so much. You've added to my list. These are great suggestions. We highly recommend that if you all have more, please put them in the
absolutely
the chat. Share the love. Help us find the content. And this was a fun one, man. I really appreciate you. Babe.
I like it.
I know what I'm like. I said, I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm going to be watching
all kinds of stuff to watch.
Some hydraulic pressing and shredding.
Does it crush? Will it squish?
That is so awesome, man. All right. Well, that wraps up episode number 22. Yeah, in the can.
Yeah, we're doing good.
See, the numbers are getting so high, man. I'm starting to forget them. I'm gonna have to we
were able to drink last week, and now we're going on to auto discounts at 25. So.
There you go. Hey, I like how we do those milestones.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, we want to thank you for joining us for this podcast, and we want to again encourage you, as always, to check out our merch store. We will have the link to our website. Also has not only where you can listen to us and view us, but where you can also buy incredible, cool, nerdy, wired nerdy stuff. Show your love. Doug, bring us home. Close it out.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for listening. We're getting into bigger, better topics hopefully every time. Taking suggestions from our friends and fans and family. And appreciate everybody out there listening and watching it.
That's an awesome closure. I do have one quick note. Coming up, we are going to be shifting to what we call a warp cast, meaning condensed down time. Typically, we try to run anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. However, with busy summer schedules, vacations, and works, we both got some stuff coming up here that's going to keep us plenty busy. So we are stuffing the can. We will still be releasing every single week consistently like we always do. However, they will be warp episodes, most likely audio only. Although we'll probably toss in, there just won't be videos of us, but we will have edited images of the things that we're talking about. But they will be very short, brief, topical episodes that you can consume quickly and enjoy while we are busy with all of the summer type things that we have going on, and to give ourselves a little bit of a break. And then come mid-August, we will be back full force with our normal full form podcast with full video and all. Just taking a little bit of a break so we can focus on some of the summer things that we have going up here. So I did want to mention that.
Yep. And we're going to keep it nice and light, but we're going to get into some quick, deep discussions. It's going to be great, I think.
It's going to be fun. Everybody take care. We will catch you next time.